Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Visit to the Unknown from Tensei Shitara Slime Talk, and so without any ado let's begin. Visit to the Unknown, 04 The Empire's Reasons and Okonomiyaki Part 2. Yes. I am deeply moved by your kind words. I shall remind them that they are to pay the utmost attention to avoiding any loss of lives. Do not worry on that account. Good. I eagerly await a positive report, she said, and then the transmission ended. The screen blinked off and Michelle let out a deep sigh. Now that she had said that, they would focus on the mystery enemy rather than the destruction of the resistance. Unfortunately, for this mystery enemy, it would have to be used to buy them some time. Now she would just have to contact her informants and give orders and somehow use the situation to help them recover. Jejil smiled wryly as she appreciated the work her friend was doing. You must be tired, Michelle. I cannot imagine what it is like, keeping your subordinates happy while helping the resistance. Yes. But it cannot be helped. What they say is right, and in terms of fairness, we are not without fault. The truth is, we do not have enough resources for everyone, and we make them suffer a little. Michelle answered with a small smile of her own. The mechanized empire of Omsbine had no real intention of annihilating the resistance, thought none actually knew this. Only a few of the top people in each city were aware. The First Great War would never have even occurred if there had been enough resources. If people cared too much about themselves, it became easier to grow discontent when others made profits. Even more so when your life was on the line. In reality, it was just not possible for the Empire's food processing plants to make enough food for all of humanity. It was even less realistic to provide clothing and shelter. And so there was no avoiding having people bear their situation. It was clear, since a city had already been destroyed. That was the reason that Michelle's father, the Emperor of Omsbine, had abandoned those who lived outside of the city. Reconciliation was not to be wished for. They would not destroy them, but they would not save them either. They would be given scraps from the city, without even knowing it. Those were the words of the Emperor. No one knew about this. This was because it would not gain any support. Well then, I will send word. Yes, thank you. Jejil. Jejil bowed and left the room. Michelle was now left alone. Destruction. In this situation, we are probably just delaying our last days. But having an enemy to fight against might. She closed her eyes and thought. Even if the world was headed for destruction, Michelle was determined to fight it. To that cause, she was willing to be merciless and cold. The resistance was not a threat now. If anything, as enemies, they provided her men with a reason to live. Michelle wished that things could just stay as they were. And yet, this mystery enemy. Then a thought came to her. From what she had heard, it was incredibly strong. As long as they did not know where it was from, it could not be ignored. In any case, while they were problem cases, the subordinates who were sent were good. So everything should become clear soon. However, I hope that the resistance don't become arrogant through this. If their existence became a threat to the city. Michelle thought about this dark possibility. A storm might as well come and just wipe us all away. The fear of annihilation, suspicions, and doubts. This was a world where people only felt a reason to live through finding enemies. The atmosphere was polluted and you could not even see the sun during the day. While it seemed childish to want help from God, you could not help it. Michelle sighed again, as if to mock herself. The sound of something sizzling on the grill filled the air. The smell of something delicious wafted as several children gathered around with bright eyes. Ha. It is almost ready. You should all wait in line. And do not forget to bring the parts. It was Feldera. Feldera was cooking okonomiyaki on a grill. Where did the grill come from? What about the heat? Such things were of no concern. It was Feldera. And anything was possible. Oh, it's ready. So, you want to be first? Where are the parts? When the okonomiyaki was ready, Feldera called to the child who was first in line. Here it is. It is a drill arm with a powerful electric motor inside. A drill arm? That sounds very cool. All right, let's trade. Thank you. Who is next? Me. Can I trade this? Oh, a caterpillar. Very well. It's hot, so don't burn yourself. Yes. Thank you, mister. Yes. These transactions continued as Feldera gained more parts and passed out okonomiyaki to the children. He looked very satisfied and his smile widened as he looked at the increasing amount of parts he was getting. The children happily ate the okonomiyaki and let out cries of overwhelming delight. It's delicious. This is so good. What is this? It's hot. My tongue hurts. But I can't stop eating it. While the taste changed so you would not get bored, the children still ate the same thing every day. And it was of course, neither cold nor hot, and the taste did not spread. It was clear what the difference was between artificial and natural. And so the taste and heat of Feldera's okonomiyaki practically exploded in the mouths of the children. In spite of his warnings, some of them got burns in their mouths. Ka ha 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 ha. How is it? Good? Don't fret, there is plenty more. The children gathered around Feldera. He had become their hero in no time. While he was just luring them with food, Feldera was on top of the world. Just how had this happened? The adults lived as always in this claustrophobic space, with no hope for the future. But among all of this, the children tried to find some fun in their days. And so they thought of a game, robot wrestling. This involved gathering discarded parts and creating robots to fight each other. Robots that were especially well made would be made part of the remote robot force and sent out into the field. This was considered to be the highest honor for the children. They looked through the mountain of junk that the adults brought back and searched for promising parts. They would then learn how they worked on their own and install them into the robots. This was to make the best possible machine they could. The elderly taught the young everything they knew. It was believed that friendly rivalry would make this game even more fun. A race where the winner was obvious was boring. And so they praised each other's skills while trying to raise their own. In this environment, the children were able to achieve a high level of understanding in technology. That day, the children had gathered as usual and were making adjustments to their robots. And then out of nowhere, Feldera appeared before them. Feldera was sulking. The reason was simple. Ramiris and Beretta had been praised to high heaven while he had been abandoned. After the talk with Sharma and the others, they had been led to the base. It was not because they were trusted completely, but it had been decided that they could do no harm. But more than anything, Ramiris's abilities were very appealing. So, Lord Ramiris, you can control water? Sharma asked. Ramiris laughed haughtily. You could say that. You know, I'm just a woman of many talents, all right. Oh. Wonderful. Then we have a request we would like to ask you. What? What? Well, let's hear it. I am a gentle person, so I will at least hear you out. It is really nothing for something as great as you, Lord Ramiris. At least, I don't think it is. Great? Me? Why, you have a great eye for seeing people. I am impressed. Ha ha ha. Oh, you flatter me. As for the request. As soon as it was known that Ramiris could freely control water, Rindo knew what Sharma would want, and acted quickly. And so he raised Ramiris with flattering words before beginning to negotiate so she would listen to him. The request was that he wanted her to fill their water tank. It would surely not be possible for her to fill it completely, but even a little would be adequate. He asked with this desperate hope. In this world, water was more valuable than anything. Not only did it rarely rain, even if it did, the rainwater was polluted. And it took an incredible amount of time to filter it until it was no longer harmful. This underground world where super beasts roamed was not friendly to humans. But the beasts and plants had evolved to be able to filter and store the water. However, this stored water was at the watering holes of the beasts, and in order to steal water from them, the resistance Light of Dawn had to accept the possibility of casualties. While some problems couldn't be solved without making sacrifices, it was usually a last resort. And then Ramiris had appeared. So it was no wonder that they would want to ask this of her. Leave it to me. Something like that could not be more simple. Ramiris was the one that was simple. She was happy at being praised, and so quickly accepted their request. Now completely carried away, Ramiris was led to the water tank, where she filled it completely with water. To this, Sharma, Rindo and Zaza could only stare with their eyes and mouths widened. It was more than they could have expected. No, that was an understatement. They believed that even if they used the bare minimum to survive, the water would not last another year. And now they had enough to live for 3 years even if they used it lavishly. This is wonderful, Lord Ramiris. You must have been sent here from the heavens. We are thankful from the bottom of our hearts to have met you. Thank you so much. Now, If only the filtering of the water was smoother. After hearing Sharma and Rindo's praise, Ramorous smiled and nodded. Filtering the water? That's so easy. Beretta. Do it. She ordered Beretta. While Beretta wondered if this would not create problems, he believed it was less harmful than what they had done with the food, and so he accepted. If that is your wish, Lord Ramorous, he said. Then he used the ultimate gift, mineral manipulation, from Deus Ex Machina, to gather all of the metal and harmful substances inside of the water tank and then purify the water. And with this, Burrito was showered with praise as well. That's amazing. You can not only fight, but do that as well. An all-purpose weapon, it is hard to believe such technology exists. And so it went. Unlike Ramorous, Beretta finished the job silently, and only when he was finished, did he open his mouth. I might as well tell you then. You wished for the water filter to be smoother. Well, the problem is that the filtering device is not working well. Lord Remura once said that machines need maintenance. Has this machine been running for a very long time without rest? And he was right. The filtering device had not undergone any maintenance at all. Turning the machine off meant turning off their water supply, so in a way, it could not be helped, but it was also true that it was shortening the machine's lifespan. If that was all, then they would not have been so surprised. Beretta, can you fix it? It's possible, but then you should fix it for them. Ramorous had fallen prey so completely by now, that she happily gave the order to Beretta. Beretta was about to protest, but gave up and obeyed her. And like this, Beretta not only pointed out the issue with the device, but even repaired it. Lord Ramorous, surely you must be a renowned scientist. Well, yes. Would it be possible for you to look at the other machines as well? Okay. Leave it to me. Let's go, Beretta. They talked together like this, and left Feldera behind. What about me? Feldera muttered. But his voice only echoed in the lonely water storage room. Not at all amused with how things had developed, Feldera returned to the base. And that was when he met the children who were tinkering with their robots. They would choose whether or not to help these people after learning more about the situation. That had been their conclusion just a moment ago, but Feldera was sulking. And so it no longer had anything to do with him. He discarded that discussion into the farthest reaches of oblivion and became the king of these children. And now, among the delicious smells and cries of admiration, even adults were starting to gather around Feldera. This clamor of course eventually reached Sharma and the others. And it did not take long for them to come running frantically back to Feldera. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more content.